Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. We are back. Another Snap Counts podcast. It's been an interesting day around the NFL, I will say. I feel like the 1 o'clock window was a bunch of close games that I think there were some interesting results that we'll obviously touch on here. And the 4 o'clock window kind of turned into blowouts, except for one. As I would say Titans Chargers, 10-point game. That was like the closest of them.
Yep.
And, but Jets are getting destroyed. I'm sure New York's loving that. I know I'm loving it, but, I don't speak for everybody. Um, yeah, so I feel like where we should start with today was simply, what do you think was game of the day?
Game of the day. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, I would have to say the Commanders and Steelers, that
Yeah,
28-27 game there. And I mean, the ending, oh, that bites. That bites if you are a Commanders fan. I mean, you had to stop there. That sucks. And then, you have to. I don't know if Dan Quinn told his guys when they ran out there, like, they're going to try and get you to jump. Like, you're on the 50-yard line. I just didn't feel like, I'm going to run a play here. That's really, there's ballsy and then there's really ballsy, because if you give Jaden Daniels the ball with a minute plus on the 50-yard line, that dude can sling it around. So you're playing ballsy then. So you get into that kind of mindset, and it's like, they're going to try and get you to jump off sides. That's the thing that they want. And yet, I mean, you still got them. And it wasn't even like it was, a hard count, three, Russ was up there, said Ray said go 4 times. It was like the first one. The first time he said go, and then all of a sudden, bam, defensive lineman. Like, just a crappy way to end such a good football game, because the Commanders had him stopped, would have got the ball back. We had been set up with Jaden Daniels with a chance for another game-winning drive, and yet that's the ending we get. So I'd have to say Steelers Commanders, but there was a lot of good games and a lot of ugly games. There was some ugly games mixed up in there. Kyle, are you frozen? Well, Kyle is gone. Kyle is gone. Hopefully we can get him back here in a minute. Man, never been in charge of this one before. So I mean, we look at that Steelers Commanders game. Great game that we saw there out of those two. Some of the ugly ones, and I know when Kyle gets back, we're gonna allude to some of those games. But the Vikings Jaguars game, that turned into who could turn the ball over more times. Like, that was just, I mean, one of those kinds of games there. And then you look at some of the other games on the docket. The Chiefs Broncos, that was a defensive battle. Broncos had a chance to win it late. Chiefs block it there. So, I mean, we're going to get into a lot of these games. Hopefully Kyle is back here in a minute. I don't know what happened on the backside there. I think he's trying to jump back in here. So we'll get him back. Hopefully. Falcons definitely falconed there. Jory says Falcons definitely falconed on the backside. Yes, 100%. I mean, the Saints, right? The Saints. We can look at that game first. We'll look at that game till Kyle comes back here. I believe he'll be back. Jory, you're coming on pretty soon here, I heard. So we'll see you on in a little bit here. There's Kyle. We got him back. Kyle, are you back?
Yes.
There we go. There we go. Kyle's back. Man, you left me in a terrible
Oh,
spot
what
there.
that
Yep.
was.
Terrible spot on that one. What the heck? Oh goodness. Goodness there. What the heck happened? I see your power went out. What the heck happened? Your power went out?
I was literally just sitting here and lights just flickered on and off, and I was like, uh, "Oh!" So I make one joke about the Jets, and now they the power goes off. Whatever. But yeah, so
Woody
I'm
Johnson got
back.
upset, right? Woody's upset. Right there.
I guess I'll be careful what I say about the Jets now. Um,
But
but
yeah,
yeah, so
Washington and the Steelers was my game of the day. That was definitely a great game. Came down to a crappy ending for the Commanders on that late encroachment that they called there. You had to know going out like, hey, it's 4th and 1. You're not going to get that ballsy and try to run it straight up ahead at the 50-yard line. So you knew
mhm,
that you had to have it in the back of your mind, like they're not running a play. They're going to try and get us to jump off sides. And on the first hard count, he jumps offside. Like it was
yep,
just man, it was a crappy way to end such a good game. What was gonna set up a Jaden Daniels once again trying to drive his team down the field and win it. It was just a great game that ended in such a sucky way.
yeah, and I feel like from watching the game, and maybe you can let me know if you feel the same way. Is it crazy to think that the Steelers might just be the best team in that division right now?
You know, they don't ask Russell Wilson to do everything, right? They don't ask
Hmm.
Russell Wilson to do everything. And the defense is so darn good. Like that defense is great. I mean, TJ Watt, Hayward now coming off the edge. And now they just got Preston Smith, who, I mean, yes, he wasn't having great numbers with the Packers, but you put him into that system now with TJ on the opposite side. He's drawing a lot of double teams. That makes Preston Smith's game that much better there. So that defense got even better. You look at the offense, Najee Harris is having one of his best seasons. Yes, it's not Derrick Henry numbers, but it's a great season. Is it crazy to say it? No, it's not crazy to say it. If the Ravens play their best game, offensively, I would say the Ravens are the better team. But if I were to put defense to defense up against each other, the Steelers got it. The Steelers have the better defense. Look at that secondary for the Ravens. They just stink. So, I mean, I'm looking at these two teams right now, and I would say, they both excel in one area versus the
Hmm.
other. The Steelers on that defensive side and the Ravens, if they play their best game, Lamar's hot, and you got Derrick Henry running the football like it's nothing. They got receivers galore there now. If they made deals for receivers when they should have upgraded the secondary. But I mean, they have a boatload of pieces on the offensive side. So I can't wait to watch that game between the Steelers and Ravens because that is going to be a battle of can the Steelers defense stop Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and company? And I truthfully think they can. And I think then it goes on to Russell Wilson, who we saw today against the Commanders, who have a good defense. I mean, don't have a bad defense. We saw today that when they needed big plays, they were able to hit big plays. 14 for 28 doesn't look great, but you look at some of those big hitters in there with George Pickens, Mike Williams now with the Steelers. Like, that's a big body dude to go up and get 50-50 balls. Like, you love to see guys like that. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say. I don't think it's crazy to say that, between the Chiefs are the Chiefs, right? You can't knock the Chiefs off yet. But the Ravens and the Steelers, they're neck and neck right now in the top side of that division. And for good reason, because those are two good football teams right now. And I would not be surprised if the Steelers could, end up winning that division, beating the Ravens, and maybe even beating them in the playoffs. I would not be surprised if I saw it just because of how good that defense is for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what we've seen, I guess for teams when you go up against Baltimore, you got to be disciplined with your rush so you don't give Lamar easy, alleyways to take off and run. But I do think with Russ's ability to throw the deep ball, we've seen quarterbacks that are able to do that can make plays against the Ravens secondary. So I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see when those two finally meet how it looks with Russ against that defense and what Lamar can do against TJ Watt and those guys up front. But you did
I
bring
think
up the Chiefs. Okay, go ahead.
it's crazy how star-studded that Pittsburgh defense is, though. Like, look at some of the
Yeah.
names. You have Cam Hayward, you have TJ Watt, You have, I mean, Patrick Queen's on that defense. You still have Fitzpatrick back there. Like, that is a very solid veteran-led defense
Yeah,
now. And you add Preston Smith into that now. And I mean, TJ Watt, he didn't even have one of his greatest days. Like, this wasn't a great day for TJ Watt
yeah,
defensively, but you look at the guys that can fill in for him there, make big plays. Like, this defense, even when one of your best guys in TJ Watt isn't having his greatest game because he's getting double teamed and, they got to put so much attention on him, that just helps the rest of these guys. And that's what I think sets the Pittsburgh Steelers defense apart from a lot of other teams, is the amount of quality pass rushers, linebackers, everything that they got in one room where you have to account for everybody. And you leave guys open when you're starting to double team big players like TJ Watt on that line. So, I mean, I love it. And I love the amount of Wisconsin Badger guys that I see on this defense. I mean, goodness gracious. We got Loudermilk on there. Keenano Benton's on there. He's defensive lineman from Wisconsin. TJ Watt. I believe there's a linebacker on there too somewhere. I'm not going to search through it right now and try and find it. But they got a boatload. They love their Wisconsin players out there, Wisconsin defenders. So I love to see that too. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Let's just plain and simple, love their defense over top of most teams right now.
yeah. I mean, yeah, they are a team that we question them every year if this is going to be the year that they finally fall below 500. And once again, Tomlin has that group just playing really well. It looks like it's not going to take like a late season run to get over 500. It looks like they're well positioned to do that earlier in the season. So, got to give them a lot of credit. Even Washington in the loss, I still think that they're still legit. Jaden Daniels is clearly the best rookie quarterback out of the class so far. So yeah, that game was definitely very interesting to watch. You did bring up Kansas City because Kansas City you feel like every week it's the same thing with them. They come out of it without a loss, but the performance left a lot to be desired. They just find ways to win. Denver came into this one at 5-4. They leave Arrowhead 5-5. I mean, look, 16-14 loss. I feel like if you're a Broncos fan, that's nothing to really get upset about. Bo Nix and that team, I think they were, a 7-point underdog. Going late into that game, they had opportunities. I feel like if you're Denver, you count it as one of those moral victories. Like, you learned something about your team being able to hang with Kansas City in Arrowhead. But I think the question with Kansas City is, how vulnerable are they? And are they the best team in football while, they are undefeated, obviously. So you want to say, yeah, they're the best team in football. They haven't lost yet. But the style with the play and everything, how good are they actually? Like, do you think that this is a team with the way the AFC is set up right now that they can be knocked off in the playoffs?
Can they?
Or they have won back-to-back titles. Do you think that they're kind of sleepwalking here and they're waiting to ramp it up the closer we get to January?
Sleepwalking. I would say sleepwalking. I look at this team and you look at their margins of victory, and it's not a lot. I mean, you look down the whole Ravens 27-20. I mean, Bengals by 1, Falcons by 5, Chargers by 7. Like, it's just like you're like sleepwalking through these games. Like this Broncos game, like we're sitting there and I was watching the Commanders and Steelers game. But on the bottom line, it kept showing, the different scores of the games. And I was at a baby shower today for my cousin. And I was looking at, the bottom line there sitting my uncles. I'm like, I guarantee you, it was, I think 14-10 or something at that time. I was like, I guarantee you this game ends 16-14. Like, I guarantee you 16-14. Like, that was the final score. Like, they do just enough, it seems like sometimes. And where that's going to run them into trouble will be against teams like the Steelers, where we just mentioned, where I don't think it'll run them into as much trouble unless it's a shootout with the Ravens, because the Ravens have that ability. But look at a team like the Steelers. If your back's against the wall, how good do you think your odds are of driving down the field against TJ Watt late in the game? Because I don't know what it is about that guy, but when it's late game situation, he finds his way into the backfield. He finds his way.
Yeah.
He had that one, he almost had that interception on that play by Jane Daniels when he tipped it there, but he finds ways to disrupt passers late in games. And now you add in, Cam Hayward's in there. You have those pass rushers. Those kinds of games will worry you if you're a Chiefs fan. You don't want to. I mean, we're going to see that kind of game. I believe they play them second to last week of the season. They'll see the Steelers. They're in Pittsburgh, so we'll see a good.
Yeah.
I mean, get a taste of that right then. But I think games like that where you have good defenses up against you, offensively, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Like if he has to, he can go toe to toe with you. And it just feels like they're sleepwalking because you're playing a team like the Broncos and you're playing them at home. It just feels like you should have that game easily. Like I just felt like they should have that game easily. It wasn't by any means easy. And then you look Buccaneers. I mean, Baker Mayfield played a good game. I mean, they played a great game there, but I mean, Chiefs outlasted them, right? Found a way late. Now, a lot of people say, the penalties and everything like that. Yes, that does benefit the Chiefs at time. I will agree. Back to the Broncos thing. The Broncos, there might be some guys getting fired on that kick unit there after that because I don't know what blocking scheme that was, but there was like I don't know. I just rewatched it. There was like 3 guys who got through their blocking there. So I don't know what happened, but there was a missed assignment somewhere, and then everybody got confused because that was a disaster. So Broncos should have won that game. Should have won that game. Chiefs find a way to win once again. It's a game like that, even an ugly one, where they're going to run into trouble like that, where Bo Nix leads the team down the field and sets them up with a game-winning field goal. I don't think they're the best team. I honestly don't. I don't think the Chiefs are the best team. They're definitely not in the NFL, right? You have the Lions up there as the best team right now. But, I mean, I would, if you talk an NFC, I would throw the Packers into there. I would throw the Commanders into there right now. I don't know about the Vikings. We're going to get to that game, but I don't know if I'd throw the Vikings in there at this moment. But I'm looking at a lot of these other teams, and I'm like, could they beat the Chiefs? Yeah. Like, I look at them on paper, I'm like, they could beat the Chiefs right now. Now, until somebody does, the Chiefs are the best team. Like until somebody knocks them off, they have won back-to-back Super Bowls. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Chris Jones. They still have, Travis Kelce's still in the room. Like until somebody beats them, they are still the best team. Now on paper, are they the best team? No. Stat-wise, no. But they find ways to win football games. So end of the day, does it look pretty? No, but a win's a win, right? That's all you can say. A win's a win. They're 9-0, and there's a lot of teams right now who aren't even close to 9-0. So at this very moment, the Chiefs are the team to beat. They're the team to beat in the AFC until somebody knocks them off.
Yeah, look, for teams that are, contenders and, are well coached and well, built in terms of their roster, you get games like this today where don't have your A game, you don't have your fastball, but you do just enough to get the win. And a win like that is something that when, you get into January, we might look back and see that the Chiefs have home field throughout the playoffs. And we'll look back and say that Denver game was one of the reasons why they put themselves in that position. So I do agree. For a team that's won back-to-back, you had to figure that this year there would be some letdown in their play because they've had 2 long seasons, and football's a very physical game. It takes a lot out of you. You can tell with Kansas City, they just want to get to the playoffs.
Yep.
That's all they want to do.
Yep.
And every other team in the AFC knows if they have to go to Arrowhead in January, they're in for a long night against a team that knows how to win. So for Kansas City, look, they're 9-0 right now. If Kansas City finished the season, I don't know, 13-4, going 4-4 their last 8, they're not going to be worried. Like 13-4 will still get you a top seed in the AFC. Yep. They'll get their home games. They also shown, as they did last year in the AFC title game when they had to go into Baltimore and get a win, they're not worried about any of these road games that could potentially be there waiting for them with any of these AFC teams if they were to drop a few games. Like they know who they are and they know what to do late in the year. These other AFC teams need to show us that they are capable of taking advantage of a Kansas City team that may not be playing on all cylinders.
Yep. Yep. I mean, you're talking like an NBA team, right? They say it all the time with these NBA teams now, with like Joel Embiid not playing and all them different things, right? It's about, we're going to get to the playoffs. Just, it doesn't matter where we're seated. We just got to get there, right? That's
Yeah.
the Chiefs. They don't care, right? It doesn't look like they're playing on all, flying on all cylinders. It doesn't look like any of that right now. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is playing his best football. I don't think Travis Kelce's playing his best football. That's the Chiefs. They know that this is the easy point, right? We're
Hmm.
just gonna sleepwalk. We're gonna sleepwalk, and then all of a sudden we're gonna turn it on. Just a question of when they go to turn that switch, is it there, right? Is it
Yeah.
just gonna fly open again, or are they gonna become in a stalemate with a team like the Steelers or a team like the Ravens, or if the Bengals, Big Joe Burrow ends up in the playoffs, right? Man, oh man, right? They're gonna
Yeah.
get nervous. So I mean, it's one of those things. The Chiefs just they find a way, and sometimes that's all it takes is to
Hmm.
find a way to win a football game. That's what they're doing right now. Also, back to the Commanders thing, too. A lot of drops. A lot of drops. Jane Daniels had a couple balls that he threw out there. There were a couple drops in this game that could have led to big plays or first downs in this one. So that was a big thing out of that game too. Jane Daniels he's got a cannon. And I don't think sometimes those receivers are ready for that cannon because it
Yeah.
hits him in the hands, hits him in the helmet, drop it. It's like, geez Louise. And I know Anthony said something about that first down there. He came back, right? Ertz had the first down, but then he tried to make a move and get in a little bit more, and he came back. If he would have just I don't know if he could have backpedaled, but he was at the first down marker, but he decided to run back and then try to come back forward. I mean, it wasn't a first down when it was all said and done. But I honestly, watching it to begin with, I was like, yeah, he's got the marker. But then he made that move to go back and try and get more. Not the smartest move there by Ertz,
Hmm.
but I mean, you don't know where you're at that point either. So that's a tough situation, anyways, to be in. So yeah, I agree with Anthony. Like, if that had been a first down, different story, maybe that we're talking about right now. But Steelers played a good game, right? So end of the day, that's all. That's all we got.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, seeing Jane Daniels be 17 for 34 is not normal.
No, it
He's
doesn't help on
usually
my
very
fantasy team at all. Doesn't help fantasy.
right. He's normally very efficient. But 7-3, they look like that they will. Well, I mean, because of the Philly, what they're doing to Dallas, I guess we could transition to that because Dallas was in the news. Jerry Jones said that they didn't want to sell at the deadline. They didn't. He was talking like he had faith in this team possibly turning it around. I don't know. Even with Dak going on IR first, and then we later learned season-ending surgery seems to be heading his way. They're here getting beat 34-6 right now in Dallas, so we know Dallas fans will be highly upset with that. But looking at Philly, seems like it's another game that they put together where they looked pretty good. Are the Eagles back, or you still need a little bit more from them?
You can't ask me that after playing the freaking Cowboys if the Eagles are
I
back.
mean,
Okay, okay. The
but I feel like
Eagles.
this is a game early in the year. The Eagles would have struggled, won some ugly game like 10-6 or something, and be like, they got the
Yep.
win, but who cares? The fact that it's 34-6 and knowing that they are a much better team than the Cowboys and they're showing that on the field, I do think that's something that Eagles fans can look to as a big positive from today. Because, like you said, Cowboys are a mess. They
Yep.
don't have a quarterback. They still don't have a running game. They got, outside of Lamb, wide receivers, defense has
I did see
names on it.
Parsons was back today.
He forced a fumble. I
Yep.
remember that. So
Yep.
he did make his presence known, but for the most part, their defense has been pretty bad this year. But yeah, so do you think the Eagles are back, or you need to see more from them?
We're gonna find out. Because
Okay.
you have this stretch of games, right? Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jaguars, Cowboys. Not a great not a great
Yeah.
stretch of good teams, right? Those are I mean, winning a football game is winning a football game at the end of the day, right? We just watched I mean, a lot of ugly games today. We've seen teams get, beat by bad teams. I'm not going to say that the Eagles winning these games didn't show me something because they did. They showed me their running game is still there. They showed me domination on the offensive line. They showed me things in these games. But when I look at the next stretch of games, Commanders, Rams, Ravens. Then you have the Panthers, but then you play the Steelers, the Commanders. There you go. Now you find out. Now you find
Okay.
out because you have an Eagles team now who's hot. They're feeling themselves, right? It's going to move to 7-2 here after this win against Cowboys. They're feeling themselves. They're feeling good, right? But now you play the Commanders coming off a loss where they feel like they should have won that game. And everybody feels like they should have had a shot to win that game if they didn't jump off sides. So, I mean, you have a hot Commanders team coming in. Then you play a Rams team who I would never overlook them because Matthew Stafford has still got some juice in that arm. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of talent on the offensive side of that ball. So Rams are a tough team. That's going to be a dogfight. The Ravens are a very good team. These are all the thing that I'm looking at, right? The one team that was going to test their secondary the most was going to be the Bengals, right? And the Bengals looked all out of sorts that game against the Eagles. I don't know what happened. I thought it was going to be a better game than that, but they kind of
Yeah.
fell apart on themselves. The Jaguars did not test secondary, I don't think. Giants weren't going to a Daniel Jones. Browns with who even knows at that point, right? I don't even, was it Deshaun Watson at that point? I don't even know. Whoever the heck played against them, right? I mean, were
Hmm.
they going to test them? Jaden Daniels is going to test this secondary. Matt Stafford going to test the secondary. Lamar Jackson is sure heck going to test the secondary, right? So, I mean, I want to say that I've found out a lot about the Eagles in these past couple games because I've seen a balanced offense. I've seen, Saquon's ability to run. I've seen the offensive line play well. The secondary for the Eagles has gotten better. I will 100% say that. Their
Hmm.
secondary has gotten better, and Jalen Hurts is playing better. But I got to see it against the Commanders. I got to see it against teams that I say the more you're going to learn about a football team is when they play an opponent that they're going to see potentially in a playoff scenario, right? Or a playoff team. You're going to see that in the Commanders, the Ravens. I think the Rams are going to be a playoff team, to be honest. So I think the
Hmm.
Rams will be up there with them. So I'm looking at those teams and I'm saying, hey, you got to show me something here. You got to prove to me, Sirianni, that you can coach in this big game, right? Because the Commanders game is going to be for the top spot in the NFC East, right? They're both at, well, one's at 7-2, the other one's at 7-3. Like, this is for the top spot now. So how do you guys match up in that spot? That's what I want to see. So I'm going to tell you, after the Commanders game, I think we're going to learn a lot about this Eagles team after that. I think that's going to be the game where we're going to find out a lot about this team because now you're in a
Hmm.
division leading game. Like, this is backs against the wall kind of game. The world's against you. Everybody's going to be cheering for Washington in that game. If you're not an Eagles fan, you're cheering for Washington in that game because it's a great story, right? Everybody loves the story. So, I mean, you got backs against the wall, worlds against you. How do you show up in that game? That's a game I'm excited to see. I am excited to see that one because I think it could be a very good game. And you have two good enough defenses versus two pretty good offenses that can get the job done in different ways. So that's going to be my test right there. That will be my test to see if the Eagles are for sure back. I want to say they're back, but I'm like, when you climb that picket fence, like I'm at the top of the fence. I don't know if I want to jump onto that side yet, but I'm still running from the dog on the other side. So I'm not sure if I want to jump back down by the dog or if I want to jump over the top. I don't know yet. We'll see.
I mean, like we are basically halfway through the season, and like just looking at the playoffs, I guess before we get into some of these other games as well, like it's kind of interesting what I'm seeing. The AFC, you got obviously the Chiefs 9-0, Bills at 8-2, the Steelers 7-2, the Texans who are 6-3, and for a team that has 6 wins, they are probably the most up and down group that I have no idea what to expect from them going forward. You have the Ravens, the wild card 7-3. The Chargers are 6-3. The Broncos, despite the loss, hold the last playoff spot at 5-5. They're being chased by the Colts and the Bengals, both at 4-6. Uh, the Jets and the Patriots are 3-7. So I guess Jets fans, you're still
There's
only
still
two
hope.
games out of a playoff spot.
There's a
And you have the
glimmer.
great
There's a
Aaron Rodgers.
glimmer.
Yeah, that tunnel is the light at the end of it. It might be a pinhole, but it's there.
It's
I
a small
guess.
ass pinhole.
Yeah. The NFC, you're looking at the Lions at 7-1. The Eagles improve. Well, actually, Eagles I think are 7-2 now, but you got the Eagles there. You got the Falcons at 6-4. The Cardinals, which I definitely want to talk about them, 6-4, leading the NFC West. The Vikings 7-2. Commanders 7-3. The Packers hold the final playoff spot in the NFC at 6-3. So yeah, and they're being chased by the Niners, the Rams, the Bears, who lost kind of a head scratching game against the Patriots today. At least for Bears fans, they felt like that was a game they could have won. They look like they look like a team that the bottom is about to fall out on.
The bottom fell out. It's gone. The bottom's gone.
Oh,
After DJ Moore said, after they asked him if he lost the locker room, and he's, he kind of just like, yeah, well,
yeah,
that's gone. The bottom's gone. Like, you lost DJ Moore. That means that you lost more than just DJ Moore. He's not the only guy who's kind of checked out on you. Like,
right.
that team is in shambles. Like, that is on the edge. You'd be better off just firing Eberflus at this point and just trying to throw an interim head coach in there and try to make it work. Like, that's where the Bears should. That's what they should do. Like, this season is essentially lost already
Yeah,
if you keep Eberflus in the room. Like, just fire him. Just fire him. Get it over with. Interim head coach. I don't care who. Bring your defensive coordinator up to head coach. I don't care what you do. And then just move on with it. Because right now, the bottom's out. The bottom's out, and they're hanging on by a thread.
yeah, and I feel like with that, and then how they looked against at the time 2-win Patriots team, I think that's what the DJ Moore quote is really showing you, that there are guys that are over Eberflus and are letting it kind of know on the field that they just want to change. We'll see if the Bears do anything, because I do think for Bears this will probably be seen as an embarrassing loss. But Anthony does have a question. Is there's still a chance that Cincy can make the playoffs? Like I said, they're currently 4-6, so they're a game behind the Broncos. And looking at Cincinnati's upcoming games, I will tell you right now, we got
if they score 100,
we got the Chargers.
Game.
Yeah, you got Chargers this coming Sunday. Then they have their bye week, so a chance for them to regroup, because after the bye week, you got the Steelers, you got the Cowboys, which, okay. You got the Titans, tough defense there. You got the Browns, tough defense. And, Jameis Winston by then will know. I don't know what Jameis Winston will look like that many weeks down the line, because it's Jameis Winston.
Yep.
Very unpredictable. And then they end their season with the Broncos and the Steelers.
Yeah, there is a path.
There's a way in. Yeah.
But it's a question of, can Joe Burrow in this offense give you freaking 30 points a game, because your defense is that. They had to go for 2. I know there's a lot of pissed off people out there that they went for 2. They had to. They had to go for 2. Because you look at the Ravens, their previous 3 drives, straight down the field, straight in the end zone for a touchdown. Like, their defense, they did their thing in the first half there. But, yes, the Ravens didn't play great in the first half. So you're talking about a tale of 2 halves there, too. But, it's just, that is a terrible defense. I've seen some bad defenses, right? If you give me the Bears defense with the Bengals offense, like, you would have a Super Bowl team right there. But right now we're talking about a good offense that can score it at will, and we're talking about a defense that couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, this is just bad. This is bad football. Although you almost feel bad for the offense right now, because they are doing about everything they can. They put up a boatload of points against the Ravens, 34 points against the Ravens, and they're forced to go for 2 in a situation where you could have just kicked a field goal, but you don't trust your defense enough to put them back out there. Just terrible. Just, you gave up 24 freaking points to the Raiders. Like, 24 points to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good point. I think it's a very good point, because it seems like recently a lot of people have been looking at teams who go for 2 and teams that don't, and are trying to figure out, why certain teams do it and why others don't. And I think, yes, I agree with you. When the Bengals went for 2, I thought that was the move to make, because, like you said, the Ravens offensively were kind of getting everything that they wanted against the Bengals defense, and the Bengals defense played well early on in that game, and you saw the moment where they were really starting to fold. So I didn't have a problem with that. But then you look back at, what was it, Bucks Chiefs? A lot of people were mad that the Bucks didn't go for 2. I felt like in that game the Bucks defense had held their own against Kansas City's offense, so I wasn't mad at that in that instance. I think so many people are trying to take the go for 2 and just do like blanket reasoning around everybody, when it's all about the flow of the game and everything like that. So I agree that the Bengals made the right decision on that one. Anthony, here we go. This is something that you probably can attest to.
It's my
Caleb
name of
Williams
my
is a
fantasy
bust.
team. That's the name of my fantasy team. Caleb Williams is a bust. That's my fantasy team right there. You know what? I dislike the Bears. I dislike Caleb Williams. I
Yeah,
don't think he was the best quarterback in that draft. But until you give me a head coach in there who understands the
yeah,
concept of anything, I cannot tell you what Caleb Williams is. Just like with Bryce Young and the Panthers. Like I cannot tell you anything about Bryce Young until I see good players around him, till I see an offensive line, till I see somewhat of an offense that makes sense around him where it looks if you can if you put Caleb Williams right now, let's just say on I don't know, give me a good offense here. The Lions, right? You give me Caleb Williams on the Lions and he still sucks, right? Okay. Then all hats off to you.
yeah,
Like I agree with you
yeah.
then. But you're in a terrible situation with a terrible head coach. Like you're not in a terrible situation because you have playmakers, you have a good defense, you have, I mean, a great situation to be in. You just have a terrible head coach, right? And without a good head coach, you're not going to win football games. So
Mhm.
yes, I'm with you. Like Caleb Williams is a bust in my book, but like I can't like say it factually until I see him with a good head coach or somebody who's able to actually do something on the offensive side, show him something. Because right now, Eberflus is the problem.
Yeah. And look, I know Eberflus is probably understanding that this could be it for him. The Bears
I would have
constantly do
fired
the
him on the way
thing.
home.
They would have a good reason to.
Was this game
Yeah,
in New
I
England? Was this on the road?
no, it was in Chicago.
Oh, I'd have fired him right there, right then and there. I would have told him to walk off. I mean, yes, Kyle, I know you love the Patriots, and I don't
Yes.
want to crap on the Patriots here, but the Patriots suck. Like the Patriots suck. I don't know who needs to be told that, but the Patriots aren't a good football team right now. They're building. They're building. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. They're building.
Yeah.
Drake May's building, and this team's building back up from what they were. They were stripped down to the bare bones, right? I mean, after the machine worker left and Bill Belichick, they were down to about one hex bolt sitting there, a little 3/4 inch bolt, right? And they're trying to rebuild this thing. But the Bears are a put together team. Like this has got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Like you got playmakers all
Hmm.
over the place right now. You have a great defense. You have, I mean, all the talent in the world. Like this is what head coaches want to walk into. And yet, this is what we get. We get a crap show. We get a crap show week after week because you have an incompetent head coach who can't figure it out. Like this is just you almost want to feel bad for everybody on that freaking team right now because they shouldn't suck as bad as they do. Like for me as a Packer fan, love it. Love that the Bears suck. Like this is the Bears thing to do right now. But at the flip of the coin right now, I almost feel bad because they shouldn't suck this bad. They just shouldn't suck this bad. The Cowboys suck too. Let's just get that out of the way. The Cowboys suck too. That's
Hey,
not head
I got
coach though. That's owner. That's owner GM. That
yeah.
is owner GM putting them in a terrible spot. Like that is not, Mike McCarthy. I've always said it with Mike McCarthy. He runs a straightforward offense. They're going to beat you by being better than you. That is Mike McCarthy's offense. They will beat you by being better than you. And right now, they do not have the capabilities on this team to be better than you because they don't have a good running back. They have CeeDee Lamb, and that's it in the wide receiver room. Ferguson's a good tight end. Like, I'm not
Hmm.
knocking Ferguson. He's a good tight end, right? The offensive line's at this point here. But that's Mike McCarthy. The way that he coached in Green Bay, the way that he coaches there is his offense is centered around my playmakers being better than your defense. We're going to beat you to spots. We're going to be better than you in those aspects, and we're just going to run you over. It doesn't work when you don't have playmakers and you don't have any stars on this team or even somewhat stars. You don't have anything. You have nothing to build off at this point, and you have no plan at quarterback because we saw Cooper Rush, we saw Trey Lance. Neither one of us showed us anything. I mean, it's a terrible ran organization, right? And I know it's a
Hmm.
multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar organization, but Jerry Jones needs to, I mean, if he ain't going to sell a team, he needs to hire a GM and just step away. Just step away. Let somebody who understands the game of football run it, and you just you just write the checks. Write the checks, reap the rewards, do your thing. But the biggest problem is when owners get involved in contracts. Look with Haslam. Look what Haslam did to the Browns. He got me Deshaun Watson. Ooh, that's a good deal. Browns are going to get out of poverty. Where are you at, Cleveland? Where are you at now? Big money guy comes in, Woody Johnson with the Jets out there. Big money guy
Yep.
brings in all these guys, right? Let's bring in Rodgers and the boys. We'll make them Green Bay East out here. We'll be good out here. Now, It ain't happening. You have terrible owners, terrible guys trying to run systems, and that is your biggest problem right now. Cowboys suck because of Jerry Jones. Nobody else. I'm not blaming Dak. I'm not blaming CD. I'm blaming Jerry Jones for the way that he set up this team for failure at this point. And you should have, we talked about it earlier, you should have sold at the deadline because what were you going to do? The Commanders are good. The Eagles are good. You're not winning that division. So what were you going to shoot for? A wild card? Guess what? You got to compete with the Vikings, the Packers. I mean, the 49ers are in a wild card race now. You have the Seahawks, you have the Cardinals, you have the Buccaneers in that wild card race. If they don't win that division, I think they're going to win the division. So, I mean, the Buccaneers won't be in there. But you have so many teams in that race already. Just bite the bullet for a year. Bite the bullet for a year, rebuild, get some draft picks, whatever you got to do, rebuild from the ground. I don't care what you have to do. Jerry Jones is he's doing terrible at his job. Like, that's just terrible. I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what to say about the Cowboys right now.
I mean, I feel like that's everything right there. And if Dak is going to be out all year, so it's like I said, supposedly with the season-ending surgery, now it's Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, and it's just like, I feel like at this point, you're better off just starting Trey Lance. Best case, he shows you something, becomes a bit of a trade chip. Maybe you get some more picks or something for him. Worst case, he shows you he just doesn't have it, and you just move on from him. Like Cooper Rush, you know who he is, but that's the Cowboys. It's Jerry Jones. He, good or bad, Jerry Jones is going to be Jerry Jones. But before we do move on, bringing Jory into the show. What's up, Jory?
What's up? It's
Jory.
been a very interesting day.
Yeah. I know. Because, you watched your team as well. I mean, now that you are in here, though, because I was going to ask this question. What do you make of the Chargers since you watched them up close and personal as they went up against your team? How good do you think they are in the grand scheme of the AFC?
They could be a wild card team. I honestly believe they can be a wild card team. However, they got away with one. And I just want to say to that ref who screwed up that play and took back a fumble, strip sack fumble recovery for a touchdown. You stink. And your mother should have gave you up for adoption.
Oh, that's bold. That's bold right there. He could have still became a ref after that. Like, the adoption thing has nothing to do with it.
Look, I'm trying to be nice.
Just tell us how you feel.
I'm trying to keep it cordial.
Tell us how you feel.
Because what was that? Justin Herbert was knocked down. That ball was clean out. What are we talking about here? These blind refs. Did you go get LASIK and it failed?
I've heard a lot of failures in LASIK before, though.
Of course, I know.
The percentages are not high for us.
The Giants stink because they're poorly run. But this call, I'm like, really, bro? And I'm thinking, like, if this happened to somebody like the Chiefs or the Ravens, I promise you we'd hear more about the refs. I usually don't cry about the refs, but that was a load of cow manure.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty blatant play where, Herbert goes back, the arm was hit, not like his hand was coming forward or anything like that. And like you said, Jory, it took away a defensive score. We know
I needed it.
Yeah, because we know how big momentum can swing off of a defensive score. So it would have been interesting to see how the rest of the game would have gone. I mean, Trey, I asked Jory this question. What do you make of the Chargers with the AFC? Because we talked a little earlier with the Chiefs being 9-0, whether or not they'll be vulnerable or anything like that. But the rest of the AFC, I think there's plenty of questions with all of these teams. So where are the Chargers for you?
They're a wild card team, but they're tier 3. Like, I'm not putting them with the Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens. They're a Texans. They're a Texans kind of team for me right now. Like, I don't trust the Texans because that offensive line is terrible. But I would still, if the Texans and Chargers met, like, that'd be a good game. That'd be a good game between those two. So I would say they're on that tier 3 right now for me. You know, if Chiefs are up top until somebody beats them, I mean, they're number 1. Like, I'm not knocking them off the top until somebody knocks them off, right? They already beat the Ravens this year. And then I look at the Steelers, Ravens, those two are neck and neck there in tier 2. And then I look tier 3, and that's, I mean, Texans, Chargers. You could even put the Bengals in there if they figure out something on the defensive side of the ball. The offense is fine. It's just the defense needs to figure out something there with the Bengals.
They need to fire everybody on that side because I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I was watching the Ravens games on Thursday. I'm like, please don't sell. And they played a good, solid 3.5 quarters. Good, solid.
Yep.
And then here we go with missed tackles. That Lamar run just made me mad. I turned my TV off. I'm like, are you kidding me? And you know exactly which one I'm talking about because I think he ran it awfully close to the goal line. Okay, he gets by defensive linemen. But there was about 5 missed tackles on the way from that point to the end zone. What are we doing here?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I turned my TV off. I'm like, I'm not finna sit here and watch them blow this game. Nope.
That's a Bengals defense in a nutshell right there. That one play. That was the whole defense in one play. Like, that's all you needed to see to realize this is the Bengals defense. This is why we suck.
And the thing is, the Ravens defense wasn't playing much better.
No, their secondary is terrible. Like, if they wanted to buy at the deadline, that should have been secondary help. There was secondary players out there.
That's what makes me mad about the Ravens. I'm like, how many times are we going to sit here and blame the damn receivers?
Yep.
How many times? We do that for Trevor Lawrence, too. I'm about tired of that crap, too. How many times are we going to blame the receivers when you need secondary help? Go get a receiver. Your secondary is crying for help. Go get a receiver. Marlon Humphrey gets picked on almost every game. Go get a receiver. You kidding me? Roquan Smith looks vulnerable in the middle of the field at times. And you go get another receiver?
Yeah.
We just got to score more points. If we put up 50-some points a game, can't lose.
But if your defense allows 51, then what's the point?
Well, that's the Bengals right now. That's the Bengals in a nutshell. If they score 100 points on offense, they're going to lose 101 to 100. Like, that's just how it works.
Like, like the Bengals and the Ravens are literally the exact same team, but with a different record.
Yep. 100%. That's why the Steelers, I think the Steelers could win that division and they could beat them both. Like, the Steelers are just a better all-around football team because they have the defense that can win a championship. You got to have a good defense to win a championship.
Yeah.
But feather brains don't want to hear that.
Yeah, no. They're not represented on the show, so too bad for them.
Because
I agree. Yes, because we will. Yes, we'll talk about Trevor Lawrence.
I want to talk about that game. I want to talk about that game.
Yes.
That was bad.
We will definitely talk about that one. I'll give Jacksonville this. I thought the uniform was kind of clean. I think it was like a new one that they put out there. I thought it was clean. The guys in that but the guys wearing the uniform, it's not good enough. Like, not at all. I felt good for Mac Jones. He got that touchdown drive. He was feeling himself. He's, getting into it with the crowd. He's pumping himself up.
Yeah, it didn't
all
work.
for them to, it was just the same Jacksonville style football we've seen all season.
That was the second drive of the game. Like, feeling yourself very well.
They went up 7-3. I was sitting here like, is this going to be the game where Patriots fans will be like, oh, Mac Jones should have kept him? No, I think we're good. Is it going to be the game where, Sam Darnold completely blows up, loses to a terrible team, and Vikings fans are losing their mind? They might still be losing their mind, but at least they got the win.
They are.
So looking at,
I would lose my mind. I would lose it.
Yeah. But now looking at the NFC North, which I feel like a couple of weeks ago we talked about how great that division was. I feel like now it's kind of separating where the Lions are clearly the best team. I think the Packers are clearly the second best team, with the gap between them and the Lions like not that wide. I think it's now a wide gap between the Packers when you get to the Vikings, and then the Bears are just the Bears at this point. I mean, is that? I mean, Trajan, this is your division. Is that a fair assessment?
The thing with it is that I don't think the Lions are that much better than the Packers. Like, I got to be honest with you. You look at that game that they just played in Lambeau. Yeah, it was raining. Packers drop passes left and right. They dropped one in the end zone for a touchdown. That would have made it 24-21 with time left on the clock for the Packers to be able to go down and score. Like that, it was that kind of game. You talk about penalties in that game. I was just pulling up the stats from that one because I didn't want to get the stat wrong there. You had 10 pre-snap penalties for the Packers. 10 pre-snap penalties. You're not even getting a playoff. You're setting yourselves up in bad spots. I mean, the Packers, they're the definition of having a lot of talent and still not playing good. They're 6-3 right now. They haven't played good to this point. They found ways to win games, but they haven't played to their full potential to this point. Jordan Love has not played his best football. We watch turnovers. We watch bad decisions. We've seen him injured, right? He's been injury riddled all season long now. You look at the offensive line, constant false starts. You're looking at the defense there. They're banged up. We get Jair for a week, and then he's out. Evan Williams was out for the Lions game there. He's huge in the run. I don't think, that game against Detroit, the Packers killed themselves. Like, they could have easily won that game, and they hurt themselves in the process. 7 of those points right there are from a pick six Jordan Love threw on an ill-advised throw he shouldn't even have thought about, but he still made the throw. Like, that was just a bad decision by him. And then you have the halftime swing there where they score going into the half. Now you come out of the half. Lions go down and score again. Now you're staring up at a hole. Josh Jacobs had a fantastic day, and they weren't even able to utilize him. He was averaging like 6 yards a carry. Josh Jacobs was having a fantastic day, but they weren't able to utilize him because you go into the half like that. You're down 21 or whatever it was to 7 at the time. You're in a hole. You have to start scoring points to try to make this comeback here. So you're in shotgun. You're no longer utilizing Josh Jacobs. This wasn't a game where I think it's 1A, 1B. It's 1A, 1B right now, Packers Lions. Like, I think the Lions are clearly the best team in the NFC, but I don't think the Packers I think the Packers can beat the Lions, should I say. I think the Packers can beat the Lions. And I think they can beat them, wherever it is, at Ford Field, whether it's at home in Lambeau. I think they can beat them there. So I'd go 1A, 1B. Vikings, Sam Darnold showed me something today. Those 3 interceptions, those were bad. Those were bad news right there to a secondary in the Jaguars they don't turn teams over. I mean, I talked about that on my show going into that game against the Jaguars. They're not a team that turns you over. And Sam Darnold, 3 interceptions in that game. And then, the Jaguars had every opportunity in the world to try and come back in this game. And you had Mac Jones at quarterback. If Trevor Lawrence plays in this game, they might actually win this one like 20-something to 12. Like, that might have been the final score. Just because I think Trevor Lawrence would have been he would have made those throws that Mac Jones couldn't make. And the Vikings defense didn't play well in this one. So I look at this team right now, and if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm kind of nervous because I am now seeing a little bit of this Sam Darnold, not, 2 weeks in a row, first half he sucked. And now you see this whole game performance against the Jaguars where he struggles continuously. I listen to this Vikings podcast guy, and he tells me all the time how the Packers haven't played anybody good. They've played the whole AFC South and barely won. Like, look what just happened. Look what just happened here. You won 12-7 over the Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence. Like, I don't know. This Vikings team did not show me a lot.
I will say, because I have the Vikings next. If they perform like that versus a porous defense, I don't know what they're going to look like versus my defense. And for one game out of 10, I finally, since the 3 he didn't play, I got through a game where I didn't yell out Will Levis's name in agony. He didn't turn the ball over. He played pretty solid. He had a couple of plays that down the field that really showed you something. Can he be consistent? Please stop. Maybe him sitting in 3 games because his shoulder hurt got him to learn a little bit. He learned by watching, maybe. But if it's helping him make smarter decisions and stop turning the ball over at egregious times, I'm all for it. Because I see the talent. It's just he get in his own way at the most stupid times.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold has his hands full next week.
Yeah, because I was just about to say, the turnovers were bad enough on their own, but the couple that were in the end zone were ones that you just cannot have at this point in the season. So yeah, you go to the Titans. Then you have at the Bears. The Bears defense can still play well. Then you have the Cardinals, who I think the Cardinals may have figured something out because
That's
I make
Jekyll
jokes
and
all.
Hyde.
Yes, that
Yeah.
they are, but it seems like they may Jekyll and Hyde themselves into a wild card spot, at
Right.
least. I don't know if they'll win the division because I do think as much as the Niners can kind of keep pressure on these teams, we learn more and more about them. The Seahawks jumped out early in that division. They have fallen way off. Then the Rams kind of had their moment, but they fell off with injuries and everything. Now the Cardinals are in the front of that division with the Niners right behind them. We'll see, can the Cardinals hold them off? I don't know if I'm ready to say that, but they go there. They got the Falcons, who good luck
Falcons.
figuring out that team at this point. There's the Bears again at the Seahawks, where at Seattle is still a tough place to play. And then the last two games, Packers Lions. So the Vikings are 7-2 now, but I mean I don't know. We got to see what Sam Darnold. The
Yeah,
seeing
because that
ghost things
Vikings
from the
game,
Jets team.
that Falcons game might be
Yeah,
the Kirk Cousins revenge game.
that is very true.
And it's not in prime time, so he's got a shot. It's a noon
Yeah.
game.
Yes,
He's all for it.
right. He's gonna be ready to go. Um, let's see. I think there's something I wanted to. Was there another game that we've? Oh, I did talk with the Cardinals. They did beat the Jets 31-6 today, which
Man,
made the Cardinals 6-4. The Jets are now 3-7. Which you said they're only like 2.5 games out of the playoffs. So Jets fans, keep hope alive. But looking
I would
at
like to
this
say,
team, go ahead, Jory. Go ahead.
Mr. Mr. Fraud, Aaron Rodgers had 92 yards in 10 minutes with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. All of that, rest of that is stat padding garbage. I'm just letting that be known.
Yeah.
He had 92 yards with 10 minutes left to go in the Fourth quarter. 92.
Mm-hmm.
So that 127, 130 crap, whatever he tried to do was garbage.
Yes, he ended up 22 for 35 for 151. But like you
See?
said, I saw the same stat. 92 yards from a guy that was supposed to be the savior for this team and get them over the hump. But hey, that's the Jets' issues there. I think more importantly, Kyler Murray was 22 for 24 for 266 with a touchdown. And Marvin Harrison, 5 catches, 54 yards. I feel like with him, you always got to see if he's going to be locked in and fully focused, because he had a few games there where he was starting to slack off a bit. Trey McBride had some plays as well, but Kyler Murray was efficient against the Jets defense, which luckily for
Overrated.
them, yes, but so much attention's been on Aaron Rodgers that nobody's really gotten onto the defense yet. Once again, the defense had a chance to shine. They failed miserably. And yes, 6 points from your offense is never going to get it done. But giving up 31 to a Cardinals team with Kyler Murray, we know Kyler Murray has talent, but it's always going to be like between the ears thing with him. Is he going to play the game correct mentally and not make mistakes, which he did today? But the Cardinals had 28 first downs. The Jets had 17. That's a problem. Third down, the Cardinals were 5 of 7 on third down. That's a problem. The Jets were only 6 for 13. Let's see what else. What's it? Oh, the Cardinals 7.1 yards per play. Defense, that's a problem. The Jets were only at 3.8. They only got to Kyler Murray once, sacked him one time for 7 yards lost. The Jets were sacked 3 times. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers isn't as mobile as he once was. Rushing yards, the Cardinals had 147 yards on the ground. The Jets only 79. So there's a clear pattern here. The defense has failed miserably, but are being overshadowed by Aaron Rodgers and that offense not being any good either.
I just want to
So,
say
yes.
again,
Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
No, you
whoever's
good.
idea it was to get down to the 3 yard line and throw the ball 3 straight times, you're an idiot and you should be fired.
Part of me thinks that was Aaron Rodgers.
He needs to be
Rodgers is a
fired.
red zone guy. Come on. He's a
Like,
red
why
zone
would you
guy.
do that when you have Braylon Edward, whatever his name is, and Brees Hall in the backfield? I don't want to get it completely wrong, but you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Braylon
Why would you
Allen
throw
from Wisconsin.
it?
He's a big dog.
Like, why would you get down there and incomplete pass Devontae Adams, incomplete pass Devontae Adams, incomplete pass Devontae Adams? Are we what?
Because that's red zone chemistry right there. Those guys have been doing it for years. The little fade route, throw it up there. I lived through it in Green Bay, Jory. I know it. All right. I've seen it.
If it didn't work the first 2 times, what makes you think the third time was the charm at that point?
Well, he did it twice against the Cowboys. 2 different plays, ran him in on one, and then he's like, dude, throw me the fade. And then he went over the top. Bam! Got it. Touchdown. Like,
Cowboys defense stink. Clearly, the Cardinals defense was on one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. You know what? Going back to that era, I loved what I saw to Kyler Murray. Efficiency, 4 for 5 in the red zone, making good decisions. When he had to pull the ball, pulling the ball, running it, he had a rushing touchdown. I'm glad he's okay. He took that one big hit there, lost his helmet. Like, that was a gruesome hit that he took. So glad he's okay. You know, hopefully nothing more comes out of that there. But you're just talking about an efficient game out of him. I mean, nothing crazy. You know, not trying to sling the ball, you know, deep or anything like that. Just hitting the routes that were there, doing the little things, playing efficient football. That's all he's got to do. He's got the weapons around him. Do the little things. The defense can carry. You know, this was a game where the Cardinals played it, you know, I'm not going to say safe, but they played it methodically. They, you know, did the little things, dump and dive when they had to. And you love to see games like that. So, you know, this showed me a lot about the Cardinals here. I know I always say they're the Jekyll and Hyde team because one game they're going to play like this and the next game they're going to lose to, I don't know, some crappy team out there. I don't want to take shots at anybody's team right now, but I mean, they're going to lose to a crappy team. Like, they're just so Jekyll and Hyde for me. But if they find a way to play efficient football like this, they're a dangerous team. They're a dangerous team when it comes to playoffs because you have that dual threat quarterback with a solid running game behind him, weapons around him. Like, this is not the Ravens, but I mean, they're right there. The offense, similar play styles, I guess I would say, with the dual threat quarterback, good running backs, and good weapons around them there. So I like what I'm seeing out of the Cardinals. I could see them winning the West. I could see them being a dangerous team going into the playoffs for any team out there. So I'm interested to see what they do next week here.
Yeah, they are 6-4. Oh, I was about to say what they're scheduled, and then I'll let you go, Jory. They're 6-4. They're going into their bye week. We'll see if it was a good, well-placed bye or if they lose some momentum. But coming out of the bye, they go to Seattle, to Minnesota. Then they get Seattle, my Patriots at home. Then they go to Carolina, to the Rams, and end the season with the Niners in Arizona. So looking at that schedule, just I guess yes or no, will they be a playoff team? You got to figure maybe 9-10 wins get you in the NFC. They're already 6-4. Do they have 3-4 more wins in that remaining schedule?
They do.
Yeah. Okay. Split with Seattle. I think they'll split that because going to Seattle, like you mentioned earlier, that's tough, right? And then Vikings in Minnesota could be a tough game. And then you split the games with the 49ers and Rams, and you take care of your business against the Patriots and the Panthers. You find your way into a playoff picture.
Yeah. And that's going to be crazy to think that the Cardinals could legitimately be a playoff team. But yeah, Jory, you were trying to say something?
I was about to say, as far as going back to the Jets defense, I have not, you know who's been quiet? Quinnen Williams.
Yes.
And his brother, and C.J. Mosley, and for the most part, Sauce Gardner.
Sauce has not been Sauce this year. He has definitely not been the same Sauce Gardner, which sucks.
He's watered down.
Do
you wonder if it's part of Salah?
He's getting called
do you think
for
it's
PI
Salah
a lot
leaving?
more.
He is. But do you think it's part of Salah leaving too, that the defense kind of lost his identity? He was probably a big part of that defense. So you lose him, you blame him for the offense, but he was never there for the offense. The defense didn't look bad when he was there. Now it looks like it's a troublesome mess at this point here. And, they thought just getting Hassan Reddick back would fix it. And, we see how that's going at this point.
Yeah, they
That's
still
what happens
struggle
when
to
you
get
miss
after the
half the
quarterback.
season.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
It might just take Reddick like 3-4 weeks to really get going. But
Yeah,
at
he's
this
in his
point
preseason right now.
They don't have 3-4 weeks to waste right now. That's
Yep.
kind of the problem.
Yep.
I feel like before we get out of here, since it is kind of the mid-season, I was going to ask each of you, what's one thing that you probably thought about before the season started that you proved right on, and what's something you completely missed the boat on, with depending on team or player or something like that?
I thought my Titans would be a playoff team, and I was wrong. I missed the ball on that.
Okay.
2, and I was completely right about the Ravens' defense being porous and vulnerable.
There you go. How about you, Trajan?
The Packers' youth would come back to bite, because right now they are 4th, I believe, in drop passes right now, and they're also 2nd in pre-snap penalties with 30 on the season already. So the youth, the undisciplined play, I said it right off the bat to start the year. I was like, that's going to come back to bite us. You want to be young, but you also, that does come back to bite in certain areas. And I think it's biting the Packers right now. So I would say that's my big one because, well, I talk about them every week on my show. So I have to, that's my big one there. I would say, other than that, my one that I was right about, the Cowboys, no running back was going to lead to issues. Like, you got to have.
I bet they want Tony Pollard now.
You just think Cowboys throughout the years, like, you always had a running back, whether it was Zeke, whether it was whoever, like, you always had a solid running back. And now you look at this team and it's like, there's not. I think that Dowell, I think he could be a good running back. Like, I like what I see out of him, but I think the season's too far gone to know anything about him. But I think he could be a good back, just like up with the Giants there, that Tracy there with the Giants. I think he's becoming a pretty good back there with the Giants. So, I think they have some young guys that are showing a little bit there with the Cowboys, but the lack, you had the shot at Derrick Henry. You didn't take the shot because you didn't think he'd fit your scheme. Well, you should have made him just fit the scheme. You should have found a way to make him fit the scheme. I don't care. Like, that's a stupid excuse not to sign the guy.
And to address Mr. Anthony's comment, Lamar always becomes a real good passer in a regular season. Do it in the playoffs. Next.
Oh, that's an interesting one because Anthony Richardson, I thought he would maybe look like something this season here. And we're just seeing more and more of his college. I mean, he was never good in college. The Colts really reached on him, drafting him. And I mean, I hate saying people are a bust, but he's a bust. Like, they just have to accept it at this point, move on. Like, they screwed up. You would be better off if you moved him to, like, running back or wide receiver at this point. Like, he's got speed. I know he's got speed. He's got the ability to do some of them crazy things. Like, just put him out there. Let him be a running back. Let him be a wide receiver. I've seen quarterbacks do it in the past. I think there was a Ohio State quarterback that did it with the Texans. I can't remember his name off. It wasn't JT Barrett, was it?
Terrell Pryor did it.
Terrell Pryor, that's who it was. He did it coming out of Ohio State. So, I mean, you've seen quarterbacks do it. I think, Anthony Richardson's got athleticism. He's got a lot of football capabilities. I just don't think it's as a quarterback. So if I'm the Colts, I'm like, dude, you want to learn how to play wide receiver? Like, I'll throw you out here. You want to learn how to play running back? Like, you can be a crazy fast running back or a Cordell Patterson kind of guy. Maybe he's a returner, right? Maybe you throw him back as a returner and be some of the, some crazy jet sweep crap. I don't know. But right now, he's not a quarterback. I was surprised by that. I drafted him on my fantasy team this year. I was like, he's a good runner. He's a good deep ball thrower. It's just going to be if he can figure out that intermediate stuff. Yeah. And I don't see it happening. Yeah.
For Joe Flacco. And the way he started that game, I was like, oh, Lord.
I love Joe Flacco.
But then Josh Allen started his stuff. I'm like, good.
Yes.
What is this?
I just can't hate Joe Flacco. I just can't hate that guy. Like, that's like the greatest story in all. Like, he's in, like, dropping his kids off at school or something. All of a sudden he gets a call from the Browns and they're like, hey, dude, you want to come back and play quarterback? And he's like, oh yeah, get out of the car, Timmy. Like, I gotta go. Like, I got an interview here.
The Browns wish they had him.
Right.
Yes.
Like, I mean, he's playing well for a really, I mean, how old is he? He's got to be like 40 something.
He's like 30. I was about to say like 39, but yeah, he's probably like 40 now.
39 on the nose.
Okay.
Heck of a guess there. January
Another heartwarming
16th will be
story.
his birthday.
Mr. Bryce Young in Carolina, I like how he's approached the game post benching. Every time I see a picture of him smiling, I'm like, oh my God, this is what a quarterback with some confidence looks like.
Well,
Me being an Alabama fan, it pains me to see Carolina be Carolina. I didn't even want him to go to Carolina for that reason. And he looked like he was broke. But every time you see him smile, it's just a little bit of serotonin. I'm like, he got his mojo back. Good for him. Now, can he continue and build off of it? I believe so. Because he's very smart. And I saw a few things in that game today that I'm like, if he can continue to improve and work and progress, and Carolina doesn't give up on him and break him, at this point, I'd say just go try to force your way out, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody could get their hands on him and develop him,
yes,
he's gonna be fine. He got his mojo back. I'm just proud to see it.
well, Dallas will need a quarterback here pretty soon after Dak goes away. Maybe he'll go down to
Please
Dallas.
don't do that. Don't subject him to that curse of not being successful.
right.
It's just an option. It's just an option, right? Maybe he can flip script, go to the Giants. I don't know. Like the Giants are going to need a quarterback after Jones here. I almost feel bad for that guy. I almost feel bad for that guy. Like he didn't. They gave him all that money. It wasn't him. Like they gave him all that money prematurely. Like, and everybody wants to blame him. You're this big money guy. You should be making. Like he didn't have the talent to begin with. He's a product out of Duke. Like he's not a great quarterback to begin with, and you guys paid X amount of dollars for him. Like you screwed up. It wasn't Daniel Jones. He sucks. Like don't get me wrong. I don't want to say he sucks because that's a mean way to say it, but he's not good. He's not good. And they paid him all this money to be good, and he never was gonna be that, right? And I don't know. I hate that he gets all the slander because it's like you shouldn't have paid the dude. You should not have paid the dude when you had Saquon, who is coming up on a contract, and you could have just signed up Saquon, went to the draft again, grabbed a new quarterback, started over. Could have just started from there, but this is what we deal with now. You could have done better with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess to answer the question I posed to you all as well, I was right on the Jets. I've been right on the Jets for the 2 years they've gotten Aaron Rodgers. Not buying in. Obviously, part of that, me being a Patriots fan, I never was going to buy into the Jets anyway, but I was right about that. I think where I am going to probably be proven wrong. I did not see this coming from the Commanders. I thought the Commanders were probably going to be another lottery team, but I thought the Jaden Daniels pick was going to be like the step in the right direction. They look like they are ready to compete a little bit this year, which will obviously pay off for them going into next year. Like, that's a slight one I was off about, but it's not that bad. I think there's another one that was probably more egregious with. I'm still kind of here with the Texans, because I thought the Texans were really good before the season started. I'm wavering on that a little bit, but
they can't get healthy.
Their offensive line is trash.
Yeah, they're trash, and they can't get healthy. Nico Collins has been out. Now you got Stephon Diggs is out, too. Like, you had a lot of weapons, and now you don't have a lot of weapons for C.J. Stroud, too. So that does not help.
Now they have Detroit.
Yeah, now they have Detroit without Nico Collins. I saw that he's out tonight, too, here for this one. I thought he was coming back, which I thought was going to be a big boost because, you can almost make up for the crap offensive line if you have playmakers that can get themselves open early. Yes. But when you don't have playmakers out there in the wide receiver core, it's tough, right? Now they're running with Tank Dell, and that's about it. So it's just a crap situation right now for the Texans. I mean, I'm a secondary Texans fan, so hopefully they figure it out. I'm going to be opposite of you. I was hoping the Jets would do good this year just because I wanted Packers-Jets Super Bowl, just for the storyline of Aaron Rodgers versus Jordan Love, the master versus the prodigy. Does Aaron Rodgers win his second, or does Jordan Love win his first? Like, that would have been storybook. That would have been storybook ending to it all. And plus, Rodgers would have retired then, so we would have got over it.
And they're about to get Dan Campbell. And when my Titans played Detroit, I'm like, he did not have to do all of this. We didn't do crap to you. Yes. What is the problem? The fighting ankle biters. What?
There's a lot of video from that Packers game. Branch got thrown out for that bad hit. Like that was bad hit.
Yeah.
And then he gave double bird. But there was I can't remember who it was in that scrum, but they took Jordan Love down and they kind of grabbed at his ankle and they rolled him over. Like you see the guy on the ground and he has Jordan Love's ankle, which is fine, right? It's fine. But he like lays on it and he rolls it over. And I'm like, that's dirty. Like I don't understand. And then I'm in the comment section with all the Lions fans and they're telling me that's just aggressive football, this and that. I'm like, no, like that's not you're not supposed to do that. Like you could have broke this guy. Like he's already got a groin issue. He's already had the problems in his leg. Like he's got problems in his leg, man. And you guys are doing this to him. Like that sucks. The Lions, they're a team that they put it on you, right? They put it on the Cowboys. And Xavier McKinney said it when they were coming to Green Bay. He's like, we don't like what they do to other teams. Like they embarrass other teams and we don't like that here. And like, I was like, damn, like this dude's like, getting all tough over here. Now the Packers did this to me, but I think next time around that game is going to be cinema between the Packers and Lions because there is a lot of bad blood. And I just want to say to Amon-Ra St. Brown, dude, like Green Bay's 2 words, figure it out. Like Green Bay, that's 2 words, not 1, 2 words. So figure out how to spell if you're going to wear a sweatshirt that says Green Bay sucks. And then he goes on his podcast and he says Packer fans are delusional because we think that we run the division. I don't know, Amon-Ra. I just want you to look back.
They've historically run the division. Like, shut up.
Yes, 100%. 100%. He's like, just because they didn't win it 1 year. Yes, 1 year they win it. And you look back at the last 10, and it's the Packers on there the whole time. Outside of that, it's the Bears and the Vikings. I'm like, and
that was
the Vikings
statement.
was with Favre. I'm like, dude.
That was the delusional statement. He has no nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to call Packers fans delusional and then sit here and say they act like they don't run us to the division. Da, 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 da. They have. You've had a hot lick of success. Hush.
Yes.
All
100%.
these podcasting ass players, man. Between Micah, now you got Amon-Ra. Micah is hurt. And got everything in the world to say. I'm like, You're not even playing. Shut up.
And what would Amon-Ra St. Brown say if the Packers won that game and didn't hurt themselves by 10 pre-snap penalties and 6 drops in the game? Like, what's he saying then if he walks in there and loses at Lambeau after that? Oh, they're still delusional because, I'm like, dude, shut up. And then Ecumanius St. Brown was in there too. He used to play for the Packers. He was around the league, and he stunk. Like, he was terrible. And he's like, yeah, Packers fans are delusional, this and that. I'm like, shut up. You suck. Like, go away. Why are you even on this? Like, you don't know nothing about football. You were as good as Valdez-Scantling. Like, that's how good he was.
Valdez-Scantling balled out today.
He had baller game today. That dude, he does one game every 2 months where he like goes for 200 yards on like 3 catches. After that, he stinks.
Yeah. I think before we get out of here, I guess just quickly, because we have Lions and Texans about to start. Are we all predicting a Lions blowout, Lions close win, or Texans upset?
You know what? I've always been one for bold takes. Where is this game at?
In Houston.
In Houston?
Yep.
Screw it. Give me the Texans.
Okay.
Lions got to lose one. And if CJ Stroud and the Texans are ever going to figure it out, it's going to be right now. I think the Lions are overlooking this game. I think that's how they do it. They're going in there trying to embarrass. And as long as Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery score me a couple touchdowns here for the fantasy, I'm good. And they can lose in a shootout. It's fine with me.
I made the mistake of drafting Sam Laporta.
Yeah, I like drafting Sam Laporta as well.
I drafted him last year. He's a dog. I mean, he's good. He's a good player.
At least I also turned it around and I drafted Isaiah Likely, who's about he's on his way off my team. He on his way off. He gonna be the next cut.
I got screwed in fantasy because my whole team is like Packers, so they have a bye this week. So I had to like go out in the free agent pool and just grab everybody. I had Josh Downs in there. I grabbed Juwan Jennings. Like I was grabbing guys left and right. Like it was just a disaster. I grabbed Otten as my tight end. I have the Chargers defense. I had bring in a new kicker. I think I have the Lions kicker. So if they kick 14 field goals, I'll be fine. Like, I'll take that. Like, I was all over the place. And oh, man, it was rough. I didn't plan that out very well. I didn't think about that. Like, when it came down to it, I was going to have to find teams or people for the bye week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always tricky with fantasy. I think the Lions win tonight. I think they probably win by probably like 10. I just think that they are playing
What's
much
the
better. The line's 4. Yeah.
I like that. 4. What do we got? Texans defense against the rush is 12th and against the pass is 3rd. I don't know. You stop the Lions run game. You make Jared Goff throw the ball around a little bit. You got a pretty good secondary.
That's going to be their way in. That's going to be their way into this one. Because obviously Jared Goff, like you said, is much better when Gibbs and Montgomery are producing on the ground and getting the play action. If you take that away, play action doesn't work as much. Question is just going to be offensively for the Texans, because I think the Lions' rush defense is pretty good. So if they slow down Joe Mixon, now C.J. Stroud, obviously the Lions will pay attention to Tank Dell. Can somebody between Hutchinson or I'm trying to think of their other wide receivers? Got Hutchinson and
Gandhi.
Hold
on.
Mechie, yes. That's the name I was exactly thinking
I want to
about.
see him have a big game.
If one of those two can step up,
give him the bird.
But if one of those two can step up, then yes, I think the Texans have a really good shot tonight. So I think that's where the game will be won, is whether or not somebody steps up with Tank Dell. But I'll take the Lions to win tonight.
And you think Jair, when they go to Detroit, he gives the double bird to the crowd after the game? Like, Brian Branch gave the double bird, and, Jair's that big, bold guy. Like, I could see him give him the double bird. I really could. I could see him walking out the field giving that double bird out there. We lost Jory. She's gone.
Let's see. Hold on. See if she comes back in really quickly. I think she was just about to say who she had, and then we'll get out of here. But yeah, I think it's the potential for an interesting matchup. I would love to see C.J. Stroud and the Texans kind of get back to playing better football. I mean, I know Jory would love to see the Texans get blown out because
I sure would. Because if my team lose, I would love for nothing to be perfect for the entire AFC South to lose.
You just can't hate on C.J. Stroud. He's such a nice guy. Like, you can't hate on that
I can.
Guy. Why?
I can. Because they stole half of my defense from last year.
Of course they did. That just tells you had a good defense. That's props to you. You put together a good defense. Like, you should feel good.
Yeah, and I hope they lose.
Well, okay. That's fair. That's fair. You can't hate John Mechie, all right? You can't hate that guy.
I can't, because he went to Alabama, and then the whole cancer story, that made my that was a tearjerker. I want him to have a monster day, and I still want the Texans to lose.
Well, okay, C.J. Stroud's a nice guy. Mechie's you love Mechie. So how about C.J. Stroud and Mechie have a big day, but they still lose by 1?
7. Okay.
7. You're so far out of the race, and yet we're playing point differential right now. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as they lose, I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. We're just trying to see if Will Levis can be consistent at this point, and if Callahan can get his crap together with the play calling.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good place to stop here. Because, Sunday Night Football is about to get started in a couple of minutes. So give you all a chance to go out and check the game out. It could be a very interesting one, or it could be one of those where Dan Campbell just goes all crazy and they just, put it on the Texans by a big margin.
There's a pretty good chance of that.
Yeah, we'll see. So appreciate all of you that were in the chat. Make sure you guys come back next week, where we will be back for some more snap counts. For myself, got Trajan with Wisconsin Sports on the Go. Make sure you check him out over there. where he talks Packers. He unfortunately has to talk about his Bucks as well. He's got
Kyle will be there soon.
Basketball.
We're gonna be talking about it.
Yes, I will be on Trajan's show here in a little bit to talk some NBA and all that with him. You got Jory Sports Stories. Make sure you check her out there as well. I know you just released a video today. You guys should go check that out. Yeah, I mean, you guys, anything else you guys want to plug before we get out of here?
I do have another video coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
Because this video I did my mid-season report for all the AFC teams. So tomorrow I'm going to do like the mid-season report for all the NFC teams. So be on the lookout for that.
Don't you be dissing on them Packers.
No, but a few
Packers
of them
coming off a bye week.
Strays.
They're coming off a bye, all right? They're coming off a bye. You got to, the old saying, cover your crack, the pack is back. Like, you just got to remember that. The pack is back, all right? We're good. We're good. We're cooking. J Money, he's fine. J Money's fine. J Love's fine. Like, we're good. We're good up here.
The Bears will be getting their due. I just know that.
Bears suck. Let's just accept that.
And the
Bears
Giants
suck.
and the Cowboys. Because I'm tired of the Cowboys hogging attention just to stink.
Yeah.
And also, we are sorry to all German fans out there who had to watch the Giants and the Panthers. That isn't the best of the NFL. We can send you better next time.
Watch
I feel like we dissed them.
Let it be the Jags and the Jets.
Jags and the Jets. They won't invite us back. They'll be like, please don't send anymore.
Well, I feel like the Jags are like contractually have to play in London, so I think Germany's off the hook there. They did get like the Patriots a couple of years ago because Patriots have like a connection with Germany. I don't know, maybe that happens next year. Hey, they get Drake May. Why not? I don't know who they'd have them play, but I don't know.
Packers, Patriots overseas. There we go.
There you go. Jordan Love versus Drake May.
That's not Brazil. I'm done with that place. I'm done with Brazil. Done with that. That was a terrible
They don't need to do that ever again.
Nope. They got Jordan Love hurt on a terrible field. I'm done with that place.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see if they do that again. We know the NFL definitely wants to expand the game. But, we'll save
From
that.
the North Pole, this is Chris Collinsworth calling a game here. Patrick Mahomes is not here, but I'm going to talk about him. Can you imagine?
Collinsworth. Collinsworth is the biggest cheerleader when he's on TV. Like the league will never let that guy go. He will play up the product 100-fold. More power.
I'm committed to muting him when he talks and then unmuting him when he doesn't.
Yeah.
Mahomes could retire for 7 years, and we're still going to be talking about Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes this, Patrick Mahomes that. Oh, look, can't nobody do it better than Patrick Mahomes. Okay.
Even when
do you want to be his left lung?
Sam Darnold would throw an interception. He'd be like, that's kind of an interception that you would see from a good quarterback like Patrick Mahomes out there. He led him a little bit too far, but he expected his receiver to be there because he's Patrick Mahomes and he's that good. Like, he telegraphs his pass out there. So bad interception, but Patrick Mahomes would have done it better. Like it's just so bad. Like, dude, I don't care. Like, this is Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts. I don't care about Patrick Mahomes.
Again, he wants to be his left lung.
Oh,
it's Collinsworth. He picks somebody that he's gonna wear the pom-poms for, and he just goes for it. He does it for Lamar too. He will go overboard with Lamar. I feel like Joe Burrow's another one of his guys. Like, we know who Collinsworth's guys are, but they're all like that. It's like Romo. You make Romo do a Cowboys game and think he's gonna be objective about the Cowboys. Like, come on.
Nah, he said they suck today. I heard him like not say it, but he basically said like this team sucks. Like Gus Johnson, he's all.
Dak said it last week, so why can't he say it?
Dak said it, so it's okay now. Everybody can just figure it out at this point. Like, we knew it, but we didn't know it until Dak said it. Then it was like, oh yeah, they do suck. Oh
yeah, So like I said, check them. Check out Jory Sports Stories, Trajan, Wisconsin Sports on the Go. You can find me chomping at the bit. Make sure you come back next week. We'll have some more NFL action to talk about as we're getting later into the season. Bigger games, bigger implications. and we'll be here to break it all down. So once again, from us at Snap Counts Podcast,